Hi, the gratitude journal from August 9 to August 13. The year is 2020. Yeah, it seems like the period I'm covering is getting a little bit longer. It used to be 2 days, 4, now even 5 days. Um, it's simple. We are experiencing a lot of changes, and although they're good, they can be still intense. They can take up a lot of time, they can take up a lot of energy. So I did have this period where I really had trouble sleeping, and many of us have been experiencing this. And now I'm in a period where I really need much more sleep. And of course this week I had plenty of early morning meetings, which I'm not really used to, and when my alarm would ring I would really feel like I could sleep another 4 hours easily. And even the weekends, I will have meetings that start at noon or something like that. So I will not really have the freedom. So I will try to have Sunday like the day where I will plan nothing or only end of the afternoon, so that I can really just stay and let it happen, whatever happens. The total freedom of resting to really catch up. Because even if you go to sleep earlier, it may not be enough. So just have that possibility to sleep 24 hours if needed. And I never did sleep 24 hours, but I actually did sleep close to that once. And also I've been absorbing a lot of new information about what's going on, what's going to come. I've had several conversations with friends regarding what's going on, what's happening, or also to answer, for example, a question of one of my patrons on my Patreon page, who sent me a question about the Q&A, which was really a difficult one, but luckily I have my sources where I can go if I really have difficult questions. I got a lot of insights this week on different aspects, and actually there are two I would like to share with you here. It's one big one, but I'll divide it in two, or even yeah, I have even more insights actually. So one is that yoga is not about wearing some sexy outfit and being able to put your right foot behind your left ear or vice versa. It's a way of life. But most people don't know this, especially not in the West. Because yoga is like, look how flexible I am. So it's a sexual thing already. It's about being cool, so it's an ego thing. So it's egotistical, sexual for many people. But that's not the idea. It's not about how good can you get. It's about the philosophy of life. And when I had my yoga and meditation course, I don't remember anything about that either. So it's just like, okay, this is meditation. You start practicing. You have the 10 minutes, the 1 hour, and the 3 hour meditation, and you should practice them all. Okay? And there was no real explaining about what meditation is about. So I could also tell you that meditation is also about a way of living, just like yoga. Because when you meditate regularly, and you find your best way to meditate regularly, then by practicing more and more, you get into more of a constant meditative state. which means you're more aware of your body, you're more aware of what you feel, you're more aware of your intuition. You can hear what your soul is trying to tell you and how it's trying to guide you. And so it becomes a way of life. I also heard this week an Indian teacher of Tantra explaining what Tantra is really about and the origins. And Tantra is not bringing the 60s to 2020 and finding a way of cheating on your partner and having sex with others. Because Tantra is not about let's have a very long foreplay and have a great orgasm. No, Tantra is not about sex. Tantra is also a way of life that takes decades of practicing. And it's not about an end result. Just like yoga is not about an end result, or meditation is not about an end result. It's about the journey and experiencing the journey, enjoying the journey, learning through the journey. And so this may shock many of you, but we have been taught wrongly by people who didn't fully understand, by people who just looked for a way of selling it, to make money, to find participants. Because yeah, of course, most people are not going to sign up for something that may get them a nice result in 20 years from now. But most people do sign a mortgage for 20 or 30 years, or even for life. But that's another question. It's another priority. So it's all about priorities in life, right? But then it's simply because it's wrongly explained. If I would tell you like, hey, you can start doing yoga or meditation or tantra, and throughout the process you will learn a lot of beautiful things about yourself, about life, and in your interaction with people, it's going to be a lifelong, wonderful journey. Yeah, sometimes it's going to be confronting, but that's also refreshing because you get shown by a mirror your own crap, so you can clean it out, and you'll be lighter, you'll be more joyful. I mean, all those beautiful things that come in your life when you start to clean up, create space for new stuff to come into your life. If somebody would start to share these things, this with you in this way, you may be like, hey, wow. So it's not about hurting myself by becoming super flexible or trying to be super flexible, which I've never been ever in my life. But it's about actually the total quality of my life improving, not just feeling great for an hour per day, wanna do yoga. Wow. Hey, isn't that more interesting? Is that more attractive? I also saw today something that for $7, and you can see the ad here, and you see this part, for just $7, fully certified NLP and life coach. This should tell you that either something is wrong, this is just fake, or that just like many other things, something is coming to an end and I just want to make a quick buck before it completely collapses. And this brings me to other insights I've been getting this week. I mean, they intensified this week because I have been having them already sometimes, but now it's like really one after the other. Is that with all the changes that are happening, lies, untruths, conspiracies, corruption are all coming to light. And the system is crumbling, it's collapsing, it's falling apart. A lot is being exposed, and a lot has to completely transform. Also sees people talking about stock exchange, and for example, and Tucker talked about it, and people like, yeah, but everyone is saying no, keep the stocks there, and blah 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 blah. Otherwise, those people working in stocks will not get a paycheck, because if you pull all your stocks and stay there. But I mean, all the major CEOs of all companies have already sold off all their stocks. That's why they resigned from the companies they were CEOs of in the past 2 years, because they knew the stock exchange will collapse. And so they left the companies so they were allowed to sell the shares when they were at a high. We've seen the stock exchange already going down. And this is just the beginning of the mega crisis, the biggest ever, and there may not even be a stock exchange once this crisis is over, because stock exchange is gambling, is pure gambling. I mean, hell, how did it ever start? It started in Holland in the, I don't know, 1800 or 1600, whenever it was. A Dutch guy who had this whole field of tulips, and he sold the harvest of next year. And so the person buying it gambled and spent his money. So this farmer, or whoever it was who did the sale, was sure that he would get this amount of money, which could maybe be more if the harvest was good, or less if the harvest was bad, or maybe even nil if there was like a natural disaster. And the buyer was like, I'm paying this price, and I'm confident the harvest will be good, and then I will make a nice profit. Or even sell the whole harvest even before the harvest is there and make a profit, and then leave the risk to somebody else. And so the stock exchange is just a gamble. But it's a gamble like in a casino. And we all know casinos are rigged, are legally rigged, so that the casino owner earns money, and a lot of it. And so that where you have legal casinos, they're paying taxes, and the government is earning part of that money. That's why also many governments have these big, how you call them, these big gambles, like, oh, you can win this lotto with 30 million or whatever, and then they convince you to invest just 100. What is 100 if you're going to make 30 million? And of course, if you have a million people investing 100, you have 100 million, and you're going to pay out 30 million, so you still keep 70 million in your pocket. And it's all gambling, and gambling is not a loving energy. Gambling is a dark energy. It's dirty. And as I've said in many videos already before, the whole galaxy moved in a different area of space with a different vibration, with a higher vibration, and so there is more light, there is less darkness, and so there's purification. That's why we see what's happening in the world, all these polarities, because purification is happening right now. And things will get even crazier. I hear that from all sides. It's going to get crazier before we get the peace. I mean, we're not at the height of the storm yet. It's just a nice wind, a nice breeze now that's happening. But the real storm is yet to come. I'm not saying this to scare you. Just know that things have to be shaken up, and then new things can be built up from the ashes, or from the collapse, or from just not having another choice than to adapt and to change. And then we'll go from polarization to unification, people coming together, working together, cooperating. And that is the big change. It will not be, what can I get? What can I take? How can I make 1 million? All these programs, how can you make 1 million or 10 million or whatever? All that will disappear, because not how can I take. It's going to be, what can I contribute? How can I contribute? How can I joyfully do something that I really love to do, and I can put all my passion in it, and people can benefit from it. Those are the changes that will take place. And I'm seeing it happening everywhere. Just look around you and see who those who used to control everything are fighting to keep the control, while they can see that they're losing it because more and more people are waking up. And yes, I agree, sometimes when you look around it looks like most people are still asleep. And they're like, oh, COVID! But then the hundreds of thousands, or actually the millions of kids who get abducted, who disappear every fucking single year, nobody talks about that. Totally ignored by the media, totally ignored by governments. Because yes, show me one government who actually cares, who's really investing money in that and really putting people to work to find all those missing kids and see how many are actually being found. And we all know what's happening to them, to a majority of them. No, we don't want to know that. No, we prefer to look at some reality show, which are all fake anyway. They're rigged as well. They're all lies. They're not reality show. They're fakeness shows. But they call it reality show because then people believe it's real, and then, oh yeah, oh. No. All that crap will all be imploding. Yes, it will implode, just collapse on itself. And if you want to enjoy life, and I'm actually enjoying life a lot now, actually more than ever before, even more now while we are in this crazy period than a year ago or than a few years ago, when I had more money available, I had certain other things in my life that I don't have today. But what I have today compared to all of my life before is the knowing, the deep knowing of where things are heading, the deep knowing of what my values are, the deeper knowing of who I am, and that leads to inner peace and true joy of life. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy myself before. Yes, I did enjoy myself plenty. I also had plenty of suffering and struggling, but also enjoyed myself plenty before. But now I need almost nothing to enjoy life, where before I needed certain things or people or whatever in my life to enjoy myself. That's the big difference. And what I'm doing today is more focused on how can I make the world a better place, how can I serve others, instead of how can I get. It doesn't mean I'm not charging for my services, but my primary focus is how can I make a difference? What can I contribute while having fun, while enjoying? What is my passion telling me to do? And that's a big change. And most people don't experience that because most people are fully enslaved to the system. Staying in a shitty job because they're afraid if they don't that they will not be able to pay the bills for all the shitty stuff that they were hoping that would make them happy, but actually it's not, because they're still miserable while they have all this stuff, but then also have to pay for all that stuff, so they're indebted, and so they need to stay in this shitty job where they're being pissed and spit on every single day, and they're doing things they hate, and they're just dead on the inside or dying on the inside. And if that is something you do not want to experience anymore, then start to take action. Change something. Ask for help if you don't know how to do it. But do something. I used to be there too. For decades. But at a certain moment I decided I wanted something else in my life. I wanted my life to be about something else. So I started taking decisions gradually, and eventually I am where I am today. And yes, I'm still working on building things from a completely different energy than before. So I encourage you, I dare you to have the balls, to have the cojones to start taking steps. To at least go inward and feel, what do you really want to do? Just imagine that you have 100 billion US dollars on your bank account. 100 billion. It's yours. You're free now. What would you do? After going on holiday, after the partying, after buying whatever crap you want to buy, what would you do? Once you start answering this question, I will congratulate you because you have taken the first step into your new life. Please share with me what it is that you would do once you would be free. See you in the next video. Looking forward to your answers. Like, subscribe and share.